Welcome to the Savage Coil Guides. Today, I'm going to try and show how to deal with Avatar in Savage Coil Turn 3 or T8S. If you've come from T7S, then I salute you warriors for overcoming it. Warning in advance. I personally think this fight becomes pretty boring if you know the solution to the puzzle in advance, so I would recommend trying it blind and coming up with your own solution to the tower's puzzle. It shouldn't take that long for you to clear this fight, especially if you have come from T7S. I'm going to put the solution at the end of the video, so you guys can still learn what each mech does without spoiling the solution. You can skip the video to this timestamp. As usual, quick reminder, this is a guide, not a rule. So if your party is struggling or came up with a better solution, feel free to ignore this guide. Before fighting the boss, you will have to kill them up, just like previous fight. However, the difference this time is, the path to get to the boss is not straight. I will put the most efficient route at the end, the same way like the tower solution. Now, to the meat part. This whole fight revolves around the tower mechanic that will come up throughout the fight. If you have done T8 normal, the effect is the same, but there's an additional tower variation. And unlike normal, the towers spawn randomly, but the pattern is consistent. So, first and foremost, let me explain how the tower works. You can see there are 4 possible tower spawn, which is in the cardinal. When a tower spawn, you can see 3 things. You can see half a circle area lights up with an electric effect. You can also see there's a light bar blinking indicating how many charges the tower has. You can also see the symbol floating on the tower indicating what mechanic will happen once it's activated. Tower will gain charges automatically every 15 seconds. And whenever this happens, they will also check if another tower has the same amount of charges. And if they do, the tower will buff the avatar with damage up, which usually results in a wipe. This will be important later. In order to avoid that, you want to offset the charges, and you can do so by stepping on a lightning circle. When you step in, it will explode in a bigger radius and charge the tower by how many people are inside this area, which speed up the process. But be careful. Every person who got hit by the tower explosion will receive a phone stack debuff, making them take more damage from the tower only. Meaning the phone does not increase the damage taken by Avatar, only from the blast which charges a tower. Once the tower receives 5 charges, it will activate a tower mechanic. There are 4 different towers that you will see. The Square Tower. Square Tower will spawn adds called Dreadnought. This is a heavy hitting adds that will cleave the party if not tanked properly. Whichever tank who is not tanking the boss will need to take this add and face it away from the party. And also, make sure they are far away from the boss or otherwise they will tether and buff each other. Melee can and should use their feint to help with mitigation to reduce physical damage by 10%. Circle Tower. Circle Tower will spawn mines. When the mine pop, it deals around 3k damage AoE to a non-tank and knockbacks everyone that got hit. This means that DPS can safely pop 1 mine, while tanks can pop 2 mine with mitigation. If the mine didn't get detonated in time, it will explode and wipe the whole party. It will start with 3 mines and it will increase the further the fight is. There are 12 possible spots that the mine can spawn, 8 close spots, and 4 far spots. There are multiple ways of resolving this. You can either assign a dedicated DPS to pop 1 mine and a tank to pop 2 mine every time, or you can assign each people a quadrant to watch for and take responsibility. Since I was playing Summoner at the time, I nominated myself to take charge of the mine since I have personal mid, but you can also assign P-range since they have free movement. Use your eyes. If there is a mine that hasn't popped, pop it if you have HP to do so. Healers can also do it if you're about to run out of time. You have 15 seconds before the mine explodes. So take your time before popping the mine. Give people time to move away from it first if you want to reduce the damage. And use arm's length if you think you're gonna get hit by it. Cross Tower. Cross Tower will deal the rate-wide damage when activated. It deals around 2700 damage to a non-tank. And lastly, Triangle. Triangle Tower will give 20% HP reduction debuff to the whole party. You can mostly ignore this. And that's it. That's all the tower mechanic. Now, let's move on to the Avatar mechanic. Avatar have 5 different mechanics other than auto attack. Diffusion Ray, which is a 160-degree cleave tank buster which applies bleed debuff to whoever gets hit by it. This bleed debuff is cleansable. Healers should pick who wants to be the primary cleanser so they don't waste a Suna on the same person and one of them can focus on healing. Homing Missile. Boss will tether to one random person who is not a tank at first. This tether is transferable and after 5 seconds, the boss will launch missile that deals 3k AoE damage towards the tethered person. We usually have off-tank to pick it up if they don't have to tank Dreadnought. But if not, a caster or a P-range can pick it up and take it far away from the party to reduce the damage. Melee can also do it in a desperate time since it's only 3k damage. And they will not lose their uptime since they can hit Avatar. So decide among yourself. Gaseous Bomb? Gaseous Bomb? I'm not gonna bother to pronounce it. It's a stack pillar. A random person will have a light pillar on them, and this is a stack marker. This deals 7k damage if taken solo, which will kill any non-tank player, but not by a lot. So this stack is survivable even with 4 people. But the more people you have, the less damage each person will take. Ballistic Missile. Just like in normal, this is an enumeration mechanic. The The small circle means you need exactly one person in it, and the big circle means you need two other person in it. If this condition is not met, it will kill anyone inside the circle. The difference is, when a circle applied, there will be a knockback associated with it, which can knock them into a tower unintentionally. So the cheese threat from T8 normal, that's a no-go. To resolve this mechanic, we spread in a line, starting from tank, melee, healer, range. Group 1 left, group 2 right, looking at the boss. Prioritize your role partner, so tank to tank, melee to melee, range to range, yada yada yada. And if you don't have it, look ahead or behind. If they have big circle, then it's your responsibility to fill in as the third person. Here are some of the curse pattern example. And lastly, Allagan Field. Allagan Field is a debuff which, when it expires, it will deal 5 times of whatever HP was lost from the debuff carrier. Note, I said HP loss, not damage taken, which means that the damage absorbed by a shield does not count. So let's say I took 1k damage while I have this debuff from a raid wipe. When the debuff expires, it will explode and deal 5k damage to everyone. Meaning if you see someone with this debuff, they are the president. Shield healers should use their single target heal on them and protect them at all costs. The fight will start with one Allagan Field debuff, but at some point, 2 people will have this debuff. Allagan Field person preferably will stand at the back, away from the party, to not get cleaved or hit by the missile and the stack marker. Quick tip, if you're a melee and a Giga Chat, instead of going all the way to the back, you can step aside to maintain melee uptime. Make sure you're not in any radius of the stack or missile, and not in the path of off-tank running away for the tether. Disclaimer, if you wipe the party though, the blood is in your hand, not mine. When you have the Allagan Field debuff, homing missile will always target you first, meaning that other people need to take the tether away from you. So don't make it hard for them to take it, and you can do so by stretching it out. Make it easier for people to grab it. Now that I explained how all the mechanic works, let me show you a couple tips for this fight. When the fight starts, tank will face the boss to northeast or northwest. Our group do northeast. This will provide a small gap on the tower, which lets people trigger the tower without worrying about getting hit by the cliff accidentally. Make sure to wait for Allagan Field cast before charging the tower so you don't damage yourself unintentionally. Tower cell will always happen after Ballistic Missile. If you and your partner doesn't have to resolve Ballistic Missile, you guys can activate the tower right away before the Allagan Field finish casting. If you have Allagan Field debuff and the mine is happening, you can stand inside the inactive tower to make sure you're not getting hit by the mine AoE. If you have the Allagan Field debuff, pay attention if you have the stack marker. Because if you do, you have to move back to the party to stack with them to reduce the damage that you will take. If there is an ad and you have to tank, that is your priority. Do not worry about a tether or stack. Let other people do it for you. As a non-tank, you can get until 2 phone stack before the damage becomes too big. So if there's a tower that needs to be charged and you have 1 phone and you're full HP, then do so. Now, moving on to the solution. Final warning, if you want to try and come up with your own solution, turn away now. Alright, first thing first. The fastest way to get to the boss room is by going forward and then taking the northeast path or top right. That'll bring you straight to the boss room. Next, let's talk about how to resolve the towers. The basic idea is we don't want the mechanic to overlap to minimize the amount of chaos and damage that is happening at the same time. Your healer will appreciate this since this is one of the hardest fight to heal. First set of tower consists of square and circle. What I want to do is charge the square tower with 2 people and circle with 1 people. And then manually pop the square tower by adding the third person after a stack. Basically, we want to manually charge edge 3 times, and this is to spawn the edge faster so we can kill it before the mine spawn, or else it will get too chaotic. Who does it? Preferably not the main tank who's tanking the avatar, so the boss doesn't turn. The mine needs to be charged at least once to avoid the overlapping with the ballistic missile. For our second tower set, there are square, triangle, and cross. In this set, Allagan Field will start to exist, and we don't want them to get hit by the cross tower. In order to do that, we want 2 people who does not have the full stack or 1 full stack depending on how you do the first tower to take 2 square tower to accelerate the adds, just like the first tower. And 1 person is on the cross tower duty to offset the cross and triangle charges. And after you see the field debuff expires, 1 person will need to pop the cross before the next Allagan Field finish casting. You have time, so don't rush it. On top of all that, you want 1 person to be a flexer, just in case if the person who needs to pop the tower have to resolve ballistic and then you get hit by the Allagan Field after, since they don't have time to pop the tower. For the third tower set, there are circle, triangle, and cross. This is literally the same configuration as the last set, only that it's a mine instead of an adds. So the solution is the same. 2 person on mine, 1 person on cross, and 1 flexer in case someone got hit by Allagan Field. This time, you don't have to manually pop the red white tower. The red white will happen on its own before the next Allagan Field. For the fourth tower set, there is square, circle, and cross. Same resolution, 2 people in adds, 1 people on cross, and 1% flex. Kill this round quickly before the raid wipe. For the 5th tower, now this is where it gets interesting. All 4 square, circle, triangle, and cross will appear at the same time. This will be accompanied with 2 Allagan Field debuff instead of 1. The way we resolve it is we have 4 people at the cross, because when the tower spawn, the duration on Allagan Field that will expire before we pop one of them. And we just want to eliminate the raid wipe as soon as possible. Wait for the debuff to expire and pop the cross tower right away. 2% is on the triangle, and 1% on the mine. The reason why we do the triangle is because we're close to kill the boss anyways, so we prefer not to deal with mines or ad and just burn the boss. For tower 6 and 7, I don't fucking know. If you guys see this set, that means your DPS is really low or there are too many deaths. We personally didn't see it in our clear run, so if you guys come up with a solution with this, let me know. Here are the quick cheat sheet on how my group did it. I modified a bit to make it role-based so it's easier to memorize and to generate the most uptime for melee. We also found out that the person who popped the first set of tower can go and pop the second late tower as well, since the phone stack expire even with the Allagan Field. That's why we decided to utilize the P range to pop these towers. There's also a discussion where it's better to have one person charge the tower twice and have the other person on the same role as a flexer. We've never tried it, but feel free to try it and see if this works better. However, feel free to move stuff around if they are not comfortable with doing certain stuff. We just need a person. I don't care who. I'd like to say thank you to Mahan for proofreading my script and Sorn for bouncing idea for this guide, and Lucky for making the initial T8S guide. I hope this guide helps. If you have any feedback how this guide is presented, let me know. Good luck Raiders, my name is Fanasador, I hope you have fun.